Hello everyone, welcome back to day 19 of our Teamcenter learning series. This is part 3 of our SOA Basics. A small recap. In part 1, we covered what SOA is and the 4-tier architecture. In part 2, we covered the service and operation model, the 3 client bindings, and the complete request response lifecycle. Today in part 3, we will see how SOA handles errors and the difference between ITK and SOA. Let's get into it. Error handling is one of the most important things to get right in SOA. There are two completely different types of errors, and understanding the difference between them is essential. Let me explain with a real world example first. Imagine you order food at a restaurant. Scenario A: the waiter comes back and says, "Sorry, our kitchen is closed. We can't take any orders right now." That is a complete failure. Nothing happened, no food is coming. In scenario B, the waiter comes back with your table's order. Most dishes arrived, but he says, "Sorry, we could not make item number 3 for person 2. We ran out of that ingredient. Everything else is here though." Those are two very different situations. SOA has one type of error for each scenario. Type 1: Service exception. This is scenario A, the complete failure. A service exception is thrown when the SOA call itself could not complete at all. Nothing was processed. Examples of why this happens: your username or password was wrong, so the server rejected you. The service name was spelled wrong, so the server didn't know what you were asking for. The network went down in the middle of the call, so the server crashed. In programming, throwing an exception means the code stops and signals that something seriously wrong happened. In C++, you write a try catch block around your SOA call. On the slide, you see catch Teamcenter SOA client service exception. That's the code that says if a service exception happens, run this code to handle it. You must always have this. If you don't, and a service exception happens, your entire application crashes with no useful error message. Type 2: partial errors. This is scenario B. Sometimes failed, but the call itself succeeded. A partial error is not an exception. The call completes successfully, service data is returned. But inside the service data, some individual objects have errors attached to them. Here is a practical example. You call create items to create 50 parts in one go. That is called a batch operation. Teamcenter processes all 50. 49 of them are created successfully, but one of them has an ID that already exists in the system, so that one fails. Teamcenter does not throw a service exception for this. The call returns normally. The 49 successful parts are in service data, and in the partial errors section, there is one entry recording the error for that one failed part. The golden rule of SOA error handling: always check partial errors even when no service exception was thrown. The fact that your try catch block did not catch anything does not mean everything succeeded. You must look inside service data and inspect partial errors every single time. Now let's see the difference between ITK and SOA. We covered ITK on day 16 and we have covered SOA today. Both are ways to work with Teamcenter data, but they are completely different in where they run, who uses them, and how they work. Let me make this crystal clear. Let's see the analogy first. Think about a restaurant again. The restaurant has two completely separate worlds. Inside the kitchen, the chef has their own professional tools like sharp knives, heavy pans, and etc. These tools are powerful and precise. The chef uses them directly on the raw ingredients, but these tools never leave the kitchen. A customer at the table never touches a chef's knife. Outside the kitchen, there is the menu and waiter system. The customer places an order through the menu. The waiter carries it in. The chef uses the kitchen tools to cook it. The waiter carries the finished plate back out to the customer. In Teamcenter, ITK is the chef's knife, a powerful internal tool used directly inside the kitchen. SOA is the menu and waiter system, the structured interface the outside world uses to interact with the kitchen. Now, let's make this technically precise. ITK Integration Toolkit. ITK is a C and C++ API. It runs entirely inside the Teamcenter server process in Tier 3. It is not called from a client application. It is not called over a network. It is server side only. When you write ITK code, you are writing code that executes inside the Teamcenter server itself. ITK works with tag_t handles, which are in memory references to Teamcenter objects. You call functions like AOM refresh, AOM save with extensions, and item create item directly in C code running on the server. ITK is used for writing custom exit procedures, writing user exits, building server side customizations that fire automatically when certain events happen in Teamcenter. SOA is like service oriented architecture. It is a network API. It is called from external client applications in Tier 1. The client and the server are on different machines. The request travels over a network. SOA operations receive typed input objects, execute business logic on the server, which internally calls ITK, and return a service data response back to the client. SOA is used for building client applications, external integrations, portals, mobile apps, and any system that needs to talk with Teamcenter over a network. This is the key insight. SOA and ITK are not competing alternatives. They work together in a layer relationship. When a client calls a SOA operation, for example, create items, here is what happens inside the server. The SOA framework receives the call, unpacks the input, and then calls ITK functions internally to do the actual database work. So, ITK is what SOA operations use under the hood. The client never sees the ITK. The client only ever sees the SOA service interface. That's all for day 19. Thanks for watching. See you in day 20.